everybody. Welcome to the press conference ahead of tomorrow's game with AC Milan. We'll start with Keith Downey. If you have a question, please get my attention, and we'll try and come to you within the 15 minutes. Thank you. Keith?
Hi, Eddie. Nice to see you.
You too, Keith.
I know group qualification is out of your hands tomorrow night, but what an occasion this could be at St James's Park if you win the match.
Yeah, I think we're very positive going into the game. I think, as you say, it's got all the hallmarks of being a very special night. I think all we can do, quite predictably, is try and win the game and try and give our best performance, and that we'll give everything to try and do that.
Your home form has obviously been a lot different to your away form of late, so I guess you'll be pleased, relieved that this is at home. Could the supporters be the extra player for you and help get you over the line?
Well, they have been for us this season for sure, and we're going to need every voice, every person can make a difference tomorrow. I think it's one of those nights for us. We need to create the atmosphere that has been befitting, really, of our home form. The supporters have never let us down at home. I think they've been incredible. They've really driven us on, especially when there's been some tight games, and we've been working as hard as we do in the matches. They've given us the ability to keep going, and we're going to need that tomorrow.
I feel like a broken record asking you about injuries, but our cameras were at the training session this morning. Obviously, with just a one.
What did you see, Keith?
I saw some players walking around and then doing a few stretches. So it probably wasn't a training session, but there was no Anthony Gordon, no Martin Dubravka, and no Sean Longstaff. Should we read anything into that?
Yes and no. You can read whatever you want into it. Yeah, we're 2 days after a game, so we're obviously trying to manage players. Yeah, and we'll see who's fit for tomorrow. I've just given you nothing there, have I?
Lee and then Chris.
Eddie, famously Newcastle against Feyenoord under Bobby Robson got through in the last game. Can you use that game as a bit of history to inspire you for this one?
Yeah, I mean, anything that helps us. So I think being under lights here is always very special. But under lights, Champions League, with something to play for and with everything to gain. I think that's got to be our way of looking at it. I think before the Paris game, I think we'd have definitely taken this position. Of course, it could have been very different, but we are where we are and the position that we're in. And I think we're looking forward to trying to improve on our last two performances. So I think the lads are very focused.
Just on the goalkeepers, I mean, obviously Nick Pope's out now, but you still got three keepers. Is there a chance you could rotate goalkeeper, or is it three players pushing for that one position?
Yeah, it's not really a position I want to rotate, to be honest. I think every team benefits from having a settled goalkeeper, a settled back four. That's always been my way of working with my defensive structure. But yeah, let's see what tomorrow brings.
Just finally, I've heard some sort of observers say, it's probably wouldn't be a bad thing if Newcastle went out of Europe. Knowing you're very positive, you're not going to subscribe to anything like that, I guess.
No, not at all. We're desperate to stay in this competition first and foremost, and if we can't, then stay involved in Europe. We worked so hard to get into this position in the first place. We gave everything last year to try and achieve European football. We don't want to give it away lightly. So, no, our intention on behalf of me, the players, the coaching staff, is to do everything we can to try and win the match.
Chris Wolf.
Hi, Eddie. You mentioned that after Paris, before Paris, you would have taken this position, but at the start of the group stage, when you were the fourth seeds going into what everyone's called the group of death, if you'd been given the opportunity going into the final game to go through, would you have taken that at that stage?
I think probably. I think to be here with some kind of destiny in our hands, maybe not the destiny that we wanted, but European football still in our hands. I think, I don't want to be perceived to be negative, but I think we'd have taken that, and I think that's how we have to think now anyway. I don't think thinking anything other is helpful. So we can control what we can control. We can control our performance tomorrow. We can give everything we can to try and win. We respect our opponents. I think they're a very good team. I think they showed us that in Milan. I actually thought we played really well. I thought they played really well too, and it was quite an open game with lots of chances.
And in terms of the team, that was obviously your first game in the Champions League this season. How do you think the team has come on since then and learned in this competition? Obviously, you've had a lot of injuries, but in terms of progressing into the tournament.
Yeah, maybe the team and the squad hasn't progressed in the way that we would have wanted, purely from the fact we haven't seen a lot of the players since. So, but we say time and time again, we're not moaning about the situation. We faced the situation that we've been in, I think, strongly, and that's all we can do. It was great to have 2 players back on Saturday. That gave us a huge lift, and their performances when they came on gave us a huge lift. So, yeah, we're going to the game confident.
Just finally on that front, have you got any other players who could be back for this match other than the ones that were mentioned before?
I'm not sure.
Luke Edwards?
How have you enjoyed the Champions League?
I've really enjoyed the Champions League, but there is a slight but, because I don't think we've been able to maybe have the freedom to attack the competition maybe like we would have liked to have done. So I'm not going to go back to the subject we just spoke about, but I think that's my only feeling that I'm left with, which is negative. I think that the tournament itself is special. The places we've been have been incredible. The stadiums, the atmospheres, the experiences we've had here at home have also been memorable. So we have one more game, and we want to try and make this as memorable as possible.
What would be your message to the fans coming to the ground tomorrow?
I think to make it a magical European night, and they can only do so much. We have to do our bit to make it that.
And I know, I've got a feeling I know what you're going to say, but you've been heavily linked with Calvin Phillips, loan move. There's even suggestions that it's all but done. Is there anything you can say on that?
That isn't correct.
Okay. Greg Hope and then Damien Spellman.
Eddie, is there almost a feeling that you've got 2 teams at the moment, the team away from home, who look depleted, who look injured and, depleted number, but the team at home, who almost look as if the injuries are a strength in a way, that collective resolve, and there's a newfound spirit that almost look energised at St James's? Do you feel as if you've got 2 different teams at the moment?
No, I don't feel that way. I think that might have looked that way the last couple of games for sure, and we have to take responsibility for that. I think the last 2 games have happened for different reasons. I won't go into that now because I want to focus on what's ahead. But I don't doubt the character of the players that we've got. The character is there, the spirit's there, the intention is there to do well away from home. But that can wait for another day. That worry. Tomorrow we just have to focus on a home form and a performance against Milan.
Just last one, a direct question: is Martin Dubravka fit for tomorrow?
That is slightly unclear.
Damien?
Hi, Eddie. Eddie, given the fact that the club hasn't played in this competition for a long time, or Europe at all for a long time, the group you were drawn into and the problems you've had, how big an achievement would it be to get out of this group?
Yeah, I think it would have been an incredible achievement if we can do it. But there's so many twists and turns that could happen that we can't transport ourselves there. All we can look to do is try and win the game. I know that sounds a little bit dull for your headlines, but it is the reality of where we are. So we have to get our focus right. We can't be distracted by what's happening elsewhere. We just have to perform as well as we can.
Okay. Jimmy, right in the back, please.
Italiano o English? Italian. Cosa pensi dell'ultimo momento che sta vivendo il Milan e se pensi che la notizia di ieri dell'arrivo di Ibrahimovic nel club possa cambiare anche solo in 24 ore la mentalità dei giocatori del Milan?
Yeah, I think Milan watched a lot of football in the preparation for this game, and I think they're a very dangerous team, and I felt that before the first game. I think having that game was a real benefit for us because I think we learned a lot about ourselves in that first match, but also about Milan. So I respect the coach who's done a very, very good job, and they've got some top players. So, yeah, Ibrahimovic, he can't play, thankfully, tomorrow. So we're just focused on the team that we're going to face.
Just round to Martin Hardy in the middle.
Cheers. Hi, Eddie. How hungry are you and the players to stay in European football?
As hungry as you can be. Yeah, we're fiercely determined to try and go through in the Champions League first and foremost, and we want to keep a positive feeling and positive momentum with our season. So, yeah, every part of us wants to do that. The Premier League waits until we play Fulham, so we're looking forward to this test.
You were probably 90 seconds away from having your destiny in your own hands. Can you use that sense of injustice tomorrow night?
I don't think it's relevant on our minds at the moment. I think what's relevant is AC Milan and getting our as I said, our tactical plan right for what a difficult team to play against. And then, of course, closer to the game, we might look at one or two things psychologically and try and help the players in any way we can.
And do you think, is there an anger amongst the players, or how is their mood after the last two games? Is there a desire to kind of put things right, maybe?
Yeah, I don't sense anger. I think there's a resolve, there's a commitment to try and perform better than the last two. But I think very quickly, as I said, after the Tottenham game, we had to put those games away because it wasn't helpful looking back. It's all about the future now.
Scott. And then Mark Douglas.
Hi, Eddie. There's been a lot of talk over the course of the last couple of games, Eddie, about kind of fatigue and the amount of injuries and whether it's, everything piling on top of each other. Does it help in some ways that this is, if you like, a one-off game now? It's a very simple equation. You've got to win the game. So in some ways, does that help the players that there's a real clarity there about what they've got to do and it is a one-off thing?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you look at it. Every game really is a one-off thing. But of course, this is a cup competition, and this is the last game of the group stage. So I think we'll have finality on where we are. So I think that fatigue's a difficult thing. That's been well documented, and the amount of games and the amount of injuries we've had. We've tried to stay away from that as best we can. We've just tried to focus on playing and keep our minds relatively free from things we shouldn't really be talking about. I think the players have done very well to handle that. Yes, our last two performances haven't been where we want them to be, but yeah, we've got to come out all guns blazing tomorrow.
Mark Douglas.
Eddie, there's been a bit of talk about Kieran Trippier, who's obviously probably not had his best two games in the last two. You know what a class act he is. Presumably, he's been so good in Europe as well. Presumably, you'll back him to get back up to the heights tomorrow.
Yeah, he's been outstanding, I think, for such a consistent time, both in and out of possession. When he plays well, our team tends to play much, much better. So he is a key part of what we do in every way. So, of course, I back him. He's an outstanding individual.
And Sean Longstaff coming back into the team. He's played so well in Europe when he's been fit and been there. Is he somebody you're considering bringing back in from the start tomorrow?
Of course, he's a consideration, but we have a lot of information to digest, not just with him, but with Callum as well, to making the right decisions for them, the team. So yeah, I've got some big calls to make, thankfully, for the first time in a long time.
Okay, just one. Kieran behind you, just to finish. Just one, please, Kieran.
Hi, Eddie. Has Sandro given you any intel ahead of this game, and have you been able to tap into his experience at all, even though he's obviously ineligible?
To a point, yeah. But of course, we'll have conversations, but I always prefer to trust my own eyes and what we see, and as I would for every game, prepare in a structured way. But of course, little bits of information that he can give us, of course, we try to utilise that.
Keith, we'll start with you when you're ready.
Callum, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
You've been missing, obviously, the last few weeks. You're back in the nick of time for this one. Can you just give us an idea as to how difficult it's been for you, especially watching the team when there's been so few options for the manager, and how pleased you are about being back ahead of this game?
Yeah, it's been frustrating, as it is whenever you get an injury, really. For myself watching on, we had some great results during that time, so it was nice to see. Also some defeats as well, so you have to play your part off the field as much as you can and try and get the boys up for it. Keep good energy around the place, be positive, whilst also focusing and working on your own rehab. And delighted to be back. You work hard, especially to come back for big games like we've got coming up. And yeah, Tottenham was one of those on the weekend, and we've got a big one in Milan.
I think I know the answer to this, but are you ready to start tomorrow?
Of course, born ready. I think you work so hard during your rehab that you know, you can get back and tolerate any load and demand that's put on you. And I feel I'm in a very good place right now.
The manager was just speaking a moment ago, and he's urged the supporters to make it a magical night at St James's Park. Does it have the feeling of that? Will the supporters play a big part for you guys tomorrow night, do you think?
Yeah, they always do. I think the Paris game, I sat up in the stand watching it, unfortunately, but you know, the atmosphere I got to take in and absorb, and we scored the first goal, and I think that's what helped elevate our performance again and get more. And it definitely played a part in that night, and I'm sure with a big game in Milan, they'll play their part again as well.
Got to Lee and then Damien, please.
Hi, Callum. Is this probably the biggest game of your career? Because I know you've obviously came right through the divisions. Is this probably the top of the list? Milan at home?
Yeah, I guess it's up there, you know. In terms of club football, definitely. Playing Champions League is what you always dream about as a kid, and then having the opportunity, if things go the way that we want them to go on the night, to qualify, would definitely be up there as one of the best in my career.
And we always talk to you about getting further up the goal scorer chart. Have you got a new target in your head now, because you've obviously gone past some big names since the last time I spoke to you?
Yeah, I mean, for me as a striker, every time you step on the field, you want to score a goal. And then whilst I'm at the club, there's the second place to try and achieve. Big Al's out in front, isn't he? So unless I'm here for another 5-10 years, then I doubt I'll catch him. But, you know, it's nice to try and write your name in the history books of such a fantastic football club.
You get a board up there around the corner.
Yeah, I've seen, yeah. I need my face up there as well.
Callum, the fact that you've missed games in this campaign, does that make you even hungrier to have an impact now that you're available?
Yeah, 100%. The kind of person I am, I'm always hungry anyway, and try and strive to be the best I can be. But when there's games, you know, of this ilk that come around, they don't come around often really, and to be able to try and help the team get to where they need to get to, and yeah, you do everything you can to try and help them.
And as a team tomorrow night, is it a case of having no regrets once the final whistle sounds, whatever happens?
Yeah, just leave everything on the football field. That's all we can do. All we can do is beat the team that's in front of us. So that's what we'll be trying to do, and hopefully, you know, things go right elsewhere.
Okay, we'll go Martin and then Craig, please.
Hi, Callum. Your journey might be the furthest, getting from the likes of Kettering and Tamworth to here. Did you always see the Champions League at the end of your rainbow, if you like?
Yeah, it was the one thing that personally I thought might have passed me by. You know, I joined Newcastle and knew that they had the potential to be a huge football club. But I always, you know, classed it as a sleeping giant, really. We was in relegation battles and things like that. And once the takeover happened, we've added quality to the squad, and we've got ourselves into this kind of position. And I've been able to achieve that dream, along with a lot of other players that might not have had that same opportunity as well.
So can you describe what it's like when you come out and the music's playing, and how far it is from the likes of, no disrespect, Coventry and Tamworth?
Yeah, Dortmund away was my first start, and a lot of the lads had actually started other games previously. So for me, walking across the pitch and then standing there hearing the music playing, it was a special moment inside. You look up, and you know, you could have looked back times throughout my career where you've had double ACL injuries and might have thought that this might never happen. So yeah, you try and grasp the opportunity with both hands, and unfortunately things didn't go our way on that night, but we've got another opportunity.
And how hard will you fight to stay in this competition?
Yeah, like I say, we'll leave blood, sweat and tears out there. It's what we do every time we step over the white line, and for us as a football club, it's about having no regrets, and we have an opportunity, like I say, in front of us that all we can do is focus on Milan.
Callum, the fact you sat there now in front of us, is that a clue? Are you starting tomorrow night?
Your guess is as good as mine, buddy. I don't know. I got asked to do it yesterday. And yeah, we've not been for any team shape and stuff like that, so I wouldn't be able to tell you that.
Are you hoping to go home and though?
Aye, well, you know, I've worked hard to get fit. Like I said earlier, you know, you feel like you're in a good place. And yeah, if called upon, I'm 100% ready.
And the manager's just said to us there, it's unclear whether Martin Dubravka will be fit tomorrow, which just seems like the latest twist in the club's injury saga. You've probably seen more of Loris Karius than us. Mm-hmm. Is he ready? If he's got to come in, he's probably got more Champions League performances and pedigree than most, I suppose.
Exactly. So, you know, you said it for yourself there. All our goalkeepers, really, even Mark Gillespie, you know, people that you don't get to see as much of. They're all top keepers. They all give you a run for the money in training when you're doing your finishing practice and stuff like that. So whoever is in between the sticks, I'm sure that they'll be more than capable.
We've got Scott and then Kieran.
Callum, Eddie was saying before that if there has been a frustration about the Champions League kind of journey, it's that there's been so many changes and there's been so many obviously injuries and everything that the team hasn't really been able to grow in the tournament because it's been a different side every game and there's not really been that progression. Is there any sense that it would be great to keep this journey going into the second half of the season, just so hopefully by then you might actually be able to get a settled team and be able to actually attack the tournament kind of game by game in the latter stages and grow into it in the way that you maybe haven't been able to in the group stage?
Yeah, I mean, there has been a lot of rotation. And beginning of the season, we had great depth within the squad. Throughout the season, you know, things happen, injuries happen. We've not really got that as much at the moment. But of course, we'd like to carry our campaign on as long as possible. It's a fantastic journey that we're on, and it's in our hands to try and get a result tomorrow night.
Hi, Callum. Given all the challenges you overcome as a kid, as a player, what would it mean for you to score your first Champions League goal and fire Newcastle into the last 16?
Yeah, it would be an amazing moment in my career. I think, you know, I personally believe it hasn't come yet because it's waiting for a special moment to happen. And what a story it would be if it's the winning goal tomorrow night.
Do you feel like you can inspire people to never give up?
Yeah, of course, I hope so. As a professional, you try and become a role model, especially having young children. You know, my son looks up to me as well. So I think as a player, you try and give everything you can and hope that people watching on see the journey that I've been on. And throughout that, you know, there's so many twists and turns that's happened. So yeah, the moral is never give up, really.
Go to Oscar down the front, please.
Callum, your interview after the Tottenham game caused a bit of a stir with your comments about Pickford and the Tottenham goalkeeper. Do you stick by them, and I assume you won't be mocking AC Milan players if you seal qualification tomorrow night?
No, I mean, I got asked a few questions. I didn't intend to offend anybody or mock anybody. I just spoke about the situation, handbags and frustration as you do on the pitch, and like I said straight afterwards, we're grown men and it's forgotten about.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Cheers.